Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. In the heady, hype-tastic days before the launch of Starfield, I made a video titled, Why Do So Many Games Disappoint? And I said that was because we get too drawn into the hype and fail to apply an appropriate level of suspicion, and let our imaginations get carried away by how great we hope things will be. And the game companies obviously want us to be excited about their upcoming games, or even more so, we want to be excited about their upcoming games. Do any of the thousands of people attending Citizencon pay their money because they wanted to be cynical and sanguine at the end? Of course not. We can do that at home for free. And if anybody did leave Citizencon sanguine and cynical, I didn't see them. But what really was the appropriate level of Suscon at Sitcon? Well, of course, it varies. If you went in and played in the Pyro Playground, that was Suscon 0, your own personal experience. If you watch someone try to hold a camera in front of the screen and stream their playing in the Pyro Playground, that would be Suscon 1, continuous unedited play sessions. The demonstrations during the show that were live and spontaneous were also Suscon 1. Highly edited game session footage is Suscon 3, and the in-engine footage is Suscon 4, and most of what were shown in those play footage sections were Suscon 3 and 4 levels. Suscon 5 is folks saying stuff, and Suscon 6 is concept art and such. Which brings me to one of the big headlines of Citizencon, the announcement that Squadron 42 is feature complete.
We are feature complete on Squadron 42.
What Suscon level is that? Does it deserve to be Suscon 5? Bear in mind that there is no standard of what feature complete actually means. No independent firm will review the code and issue a statement that the statement of completeness represents generally accepted accounting principles applied on a consistent basis. There is no promise that something isn't going to show up during polishing that simply can't be polished but has to be refactored. Shit happens even in the polishing phase. There's no promise that what CIG is calling feature complete is what you would call feature complete. What is being declared feature complete because it really met some milepost or because the timing of Citizencon? It's not as though they gave a date.
You will not get a release date from me today because, first of all, you always get very angry at me when I give dates.
Although if they do spend 2 years polishing, it better be super high gloss mirror finish at the end, right? But is there anything that should fine-tune that Suscon 5 level? Well, two things. The first is whether there is a history of making unmet claims. Well, just let's leave it to saying that CIG's history in that regard has many black marks. The second is whether there are other actions that the company is taking that is consistent with that statement. Or as every grandparent has said at some time or other, actions speak louder than words. And in this regard, there are in fact several. The first was in the announcement itself, that they were reorganizing into self-sufficient strike teams. This is significant because while it's easy to make marketing statements and press releases, reorganizing takes hard work and has large follow-on effects. And why would they do this? Well, you may recall one of the more common reasons when they mentioned when features get delayed, for example, most recently when they described how the Santok Yai didn't clear gray box, was support from other teams.
This case is just, there's a lot going on right now that we're working on in the background, and we weren't able to get the level of support that we were hoping to get.
That doesn't matter when the final date is not critical. If the Santok did not make it in one quarterly release, it would just move to the next one. But when there is a target of a finish-all date, having something slip because there is a lack of cross-discipline support, it has direct impact on the entire project. So self-sufficient strike teams means that a problem does not have to work across organizational boundaries in order to get what it needs to complete a problem. You do that when solving problems quickly has become a priority. The second thing was they're promising to have many of these Squadron 42 developed technologies available soon and not requiring Squadron to be completed first.
Through next year. So it's not going to be gated on having to be after Squadron 42. So we are... And this represents something new in our understanding of CIG's motives,
or maybe the motives themselves have changed. Squadron has been very spoiler-sensitive, as one would expect from a plot-driven game, but we presume that having so much in the development effort being shifted to Squadron also meant that they wanted to have our first experiences of those features to be in Squadron 42, so as not to spoil the impact of those features. For example, that our first experience of being in an Idris would be in Squadron 42. But from Chris's statements, it seems that as far as the underlying technology was concerned, they were more motivated by taking it out of the pressure of having to develop things while still having them live in the game.
To show you a lot of this, one of the advantages of being able to go and iterate on these features in Squadron was that we were able to do it without having to release every 3 months and make sure the old system worked while the new system was working.
And I can sympathize with that. My first job leaving college was with a firm involved with part of the project of turning Los Angeles International Airport from being a 1-level airport to a 2-level airport. And one of the inside jokes in the firm was we could have done the whole thing in a third of the time and a third of the cost if they had just let us shut down the airport for 6 months. But building an airport while operating the airport was necessary, and so much of the having to build a game while playing the game. Now, this Citizencon, many of the engine technologies were described as being on their way to us this year.
So we're planning over the Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 of next year. Hopefully, everything that we've shown you, you will have in your hands playing inside Star Citizen.
And that they're switching from needing to work on the features intensely with the freedom to occasionally break them in order to fix them, to being able, or even wanting, to have them be tested by the broadest range of situations, which means that the feature is in the polishing phase now. But there's a third thing, and that is when Todd Pappy said that they would begin developing the base building system in the first quarter of next year.
We start development Q1.
But what does the base building have to do with Squadron 42? Absolutely nothing. Completely nothing. And that is the whole point. Because it's going to take a lot of programmers to make the base building system, particularly core gameplay programmers. And you may recall 2 years ago, the core gameplay pillar, as well as some other teams, were directed to be focused exclusively on Squadron 42. So soon, a whole bunch of gameplay programmers are coming available, and there is nothing in Squadron 42 for them to work on, because remember, they had been directed to work exclusively on Squadron 42. So if they can now be working on something not at all related to Squadron 42, what does that say about Squadron 42? Yes, it says Squadron 42 is feature complete. Now, you can also point to the roadmap and progress tracker as confirming this, but honestly, I regard the public-facing presentations of the roadmap and progress tracker as marketing documents, not managerial documents. Nobody inside CIG has managed their departments based on what the public-facing roadmap is saying. Moreover, and this is a mistake that many other content creators make, the progress tracker does not measure progress, despite its name. It measures work assignments, and perhaps not actually reflecting what is going on behind the doors. So while I can still say that the statements that Squadron 42 is feature complete is still Suscon 5, after all, there's still so much that can still go sideways, even if their intent and even belief that it is feature complete. But from the surrounding evidence, there is plenty of reasons to regard it as genuine and not just manipulation. Now, for an update on our giveaways, we have our IAE Week giveaway for the winner's choice of the Galaxy Complete, the massive modular mining moving medical making machine, and the brand new Big Box Bargain Bazaar, otherwise known as the Merchman. 1 entry per video, just be a member and be entered automatically, or subscribe and comment, somehow including the secret word. And the secret word for this video is what speaks louder than words. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Daniel Raymond for Ray's Guide.